smoke is quieting down. Seems like we've got to a lot of the smoke. Dub, you got smoke?
Aw, man. So, yeah, these girls, Erica and Milah from the Good Moms Bad Choices podcast, are stirring up a lot of drama. They came to the Joe Budden podcast. They were invited by Imani and Joe to talk about some things that they had going on. And now they're saying that Joe Budden made some advances at Erica. And, Imani did say to me on the interview that, people are not ready for his joints and the type of ladies that he may bring up because it could get crazy. Look at the files.
Yeah, but my joints is different.
Nah, even new ones.
No. What I'm going to bring up there, they ain't going to be ready for that.
Nah, we ready.
Yeah. So before I get into this clip with Erica and Milah talking about what happened when they came to the Joe Budden podcast, I just want to say that, I think Imani was right and he had a lot of wisdom in his statement, but I took that for granted because I don't think we are ready for what they're about to say, And I just want to say, I do get annoyed when people be coming for people and their production be looking, halfway, I don't appreciate that. And I don't appreciate these girls talking about New York men do not meditate. When we meditate, I feel like that was a shot at all New York men. They may need to take that back. We meditate, And this video, it starts off a little funny. I want y'all to check it out. Look at the files.
Okay. Fun fact. I actually had this in my pocket at the Joe Budden podcast upon arrival because I figured one of these niggas would be on some fuck shit and that at some point I would need to ground the space. But you know what I did? I went against my better intuition and I put my jacket away from me in the bold away because I didn't want to be awkward with a bunch of New York niggas that have probably never meditated in their whole fucking life and bring my bowl next to me just in case they tried. I'm here to say I'll never, ever go against my intuition, and I will be traveling with my bowl in my pocket from here on out, especially when going on male-dominated podcasts. We did the Joe Budden podcast. We got hit up by Imani. I always say his name wrong. He actually, so Imani he came to our play party in in LA. And I guess he'd been talking about it on Joe's podcast for a while. And we had hit Joe up that we were coming to New York for our show. And maybe him and E had spoken. I don't know what the timeline was. But long story short, they invited us on the show. And we said, let's do it. We've been wanting to talk to Joe again ever since our last chat with him, which, was a little bit diabolical. Really, I wasn't sure what the topic was going to be. I figured it was going to be sex because it's a bunch of men. And, we were going on the show under the impression that we were going to talk about our show in New York and our after party, which is the play party. And just our overall brand in general and like why we've been successful, how we met. Now, before we started the show, we were all just hanging out, taking pictures on this beautiful skyline, which if you get into this, I have a friend who is like an avid Joe Budden patron. And so he was actually the one that kept updating me about E talking about us on the show. And so when I told him I was coming on, he was literally like giving me advice, like, okay, well, Melissa's not going to be there because she's out of town. She's doing a movie or something. And I don't know if Ish is going to be there, but he's a little bit like, he's going to get into your ass. He's a little bit misogynistic and he's combative. Ice, he's really sensitive, or like, I can't remember what everyone's archetype was, but basically he gave me the rundown on all these niggas. So we get there and, you know, they're in the middle of recording their podcast. And so, whenever they finish, we go on the patio and, you know, we're talking, we're smoking a little bit. And this is where niggas just can't help but be niggas. And this is where the assumption that because Milah and I talk openly about our lives, about not even our lives, just are openly comfortable expressing ourselves and talking about sex, talking about our bodies, facilitating spaces for people to explore their pleasure, explore consent. There's this assumption, I think, in men that you can address women like this in any manner, that there's an assumption that you have access to our bodies, that we don't deserve respect. I don't know. These are just things that I'm coming up with. I don't even know if it's really this deep for them, but these are the things that I assume. We went to go take a picture, and this is before we start recording. And they line up on the skyline, and they were like, "Erica, come over here and take a picture." And so I went over there, and I didn't really know where to get in between any of them. They were all kind of lined up, and I was like, I was just like, okay, I guess I'll just squeeze in here. And then out of nowhere, Joe says, "You better watch out. You'll get fucked." And I said, "Oh, okay." Well, I was so caught off guard. I just said, "Joe, stop. Like, don't do that. Come on." And he was just like, and everyone around just like didn't say anything. No one said shit. It was just like, this happens all the time and this is normal and no one's going to say anything.
I didn't hear this. I was out of earshot, so I was totally oblivious, even going into the episode that was said.
Yeah, and so it really shook me for a second, just because there was like this embarrassment that he said it in front of all these people. There was like this even this moment of like, did I do something here that like constituted you thinking that you could say something like this to me? And even like, I really had to unpack my shame around it too, even more, because after this, I went back and looked in our text messages with him to make sure that I didn't like in some way insinuate that I wanted to fuck him in any way, or that I was interested in him in any way, that like not, and that's crazy, because even if I did, that's not how you talk to a woman.
All right, wait a minute, because y'all attacking me now. Y'all attacking my character now.
No.
And so I was really caught off guard, and I took the picture, and you see it in this post. You'll see the picture that we took. And afterwards, we started recording pretty fast afterwards, but I went to the bathroom, and I didn't even get to tell you. You went to the bathroom and like you came out, and then you walked out, and I called for you. I said, "Milah," and then you didn't hear me, and I was like,
Oh.
It's fine. And so I just went back in the bathroom, and I just like looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, "Bitch, what are you going to do? Like, are you going to say something? Are you going to leave? Are you going to say something? Are you going to just like accept that this is like, what kind of podcast you're going on?" Part of me like walked myself through this idea that this man has probably gotten away with talking to women like this so much that, and at zero consequence, that he doesn't even realize the kind of damage he could do to someone by saying something like this. Not me personally, but like that is totally violating. That could be very violating to someone, especially someone that maybe has experienced rape or any sort of sexual trespassing on them verbally. And it did hit me, and I was flustered by it, and I'm still like a little bit annoyed that it happened, but I had to really like humanize him for a second and feel bad for him. That like, this is the only way in which you think that you can flirt with me. This is the only way in which, because I'm getting close to you, you think that this is a signal that in some way I would like to fuck you. I just don't know. Anyway, I just said in the mirror, I said, this nigga is a child. And you're going to go on this show and you're going to talk whatever needs to be said. And part of me was like, part of me wishes we didn't do it, to be honest, because I feel like as women, we have often just silenced ourselves because we need to in order to take our whatever, our career to the next level, to get the things that we need to get. I'm willing to sacrifice my feelings around this, sacrifice my better knowing around this, because we have a show in New York that I need to promote. We have a tour that I need to promote. And that was kind of a little bit of my mindset. And then, like, I am kind of disappointed in myself that I went forward with it. I mean, granted, and you can tell in the episode, the first like 20 minutes, even someone else said, like, Erica, I could tell like you were not fucking with it in the beginning. And I was true. Like, I was kind of checked out. I really was like, am I going to curse this nigga out? Am I going to say something? Am I going to call him out? Am I going to risk this episode not coming out? Am I going to be silent and not say shit and have an attitude? How am I going to present myself in this moment? How do I want to deal with this? Yeah. And so obviously we went forward with the episode. And I don't know, I guess I don't ever need to do any Joe Budden podcast again, ever in life. And I think part of me was like worried about even sharing this because there is still this fear of like a man with power being able to somehow twist the narrative around why he felt like he could say something like that to me, or just flat out lie about it. But before we got on this call, I was like, I'm just going to say what happened. And obviously, like, some people are like, that's not a big deal. Niggas say this shit every day. And they do. But I just want women to know that, like, A, it's not okay. And men should be held accountable. And for the men watching, like, you don't realize how much damage you can do to a woman just by making her feel emotionally unsafe like that. Like, there is also a physicality to it, because you're saying you'll get fucked. Like,
and there's a room full of men. We're literally the only females in a penthouse, essentially.
And thankfully Orlando was there, because I realized that too when I sat down here. And I'm not trying to like villainize all the men in the room like they were on the same shit as Joe, even though no one said anything. But as a woman being in a room full of men after the big boss says something like that to me, I looked around and I was like, damn, like, I'm so happy Orlando's here. Like, there's one man in this room that I know will protect me. And I'm like, feel like I'm getting emotional talking about it, because
well,
like,
you can, it's okay.
I've gone back and forth around like whether like this is actually like why I feel so violated by this one statement. Like, people have said worse things to me, you know? But I guess it almost feels like a lack of responsibility in some ways that we did interview this person knowing that he has harmed women before. Like, we didn't know that, but like afterwards realizing that he'd harmed women before, or that there'd been rumors or whatever it is. I'm going to go ahead and say they're probably not rumors, and then experiencing it myself, and then feeling like, oh, now that I've experienced, now I'm ready to kind of like believe the women that this happened, you know, because it was easy for me to kind of just like say, okay, I know that happened, but like,
Hold on, because y'all attacking my character like them weirdo bitches. Wait. Listen. This is what I'm saying.
Tag us in. What the fuck?
This is what I'm saying. No.
So Joe Budden didn't really address this too much yet, but he did bring it up, like you just saw in that last clip. He thinks that these two are weird. He just said that in the most recent podcast episode. So, you know, her friend not knowing anything or seeing anything means a lot. You know, she quickly said, I didn't hear that. I was doing a ear testing. You know, I was doing, I was over there doing this, doing that. Plus, when she yawned, it just made her story sound very fishy. You know, it seems like they got something going on. You know, like they're trying to gain traction from this or something. You know, and just with all the stuff going on with Diddy and other black men when it comes to sexual allegations, you know, now they're, choosing to use this moment, even though it happened recently. Like, let's just throw this in there right now while all the stuff is going on. So, maybe it could spark some controversy towards Joe, which, could be strategic, but it could get very nasty. Then she said she went to the bathroom to talk to herself into doing it, but yet, came back to still talk about all the things she got going on in New York and tours and everything. So I know that's why Imani feels very used and played for bringing him up there. And for them to try to pull this stunt against his boss and dear friend is beyond crazy. They're using these allegations that Joe had against him in the past with a woman to try to support their own argument here in this video, which is very nasty as well. And now she feels like it's her duty to stand with all women, even though she didn't in the past before, because other women came at her for having him on her podcast before when they interviewed him. So this is just very nasty, and it's gonna make Joe very guarded when it comes to people coming to the studio. Do you think Erica and Milah are playing a dangerous game? Because Milah clearly said in this video that she did not hear anything that Joe Budden could have said because she was doing some type of ear testing, ear audio, whatever she was doing. And none of the guys said anything when Joe Budden said this, as Erica said in the video. So no one heard or said anything, and you're just standing on this, which is scary, like she said in the video. This could be scary. And now you and your co-host, built this tribe to try to stand on this. So there's no proof. You have publicly put out this, and you want men to be accountable in situations like this, which is valid if the situations are true and someone feels that way. But this right here is a sketchy situation. It is weird. You guys are promoting a lot of stuff right now. Like you said in this video, you tried to cry. We seen you wiping your eyes when you said it's making you emotional. And this is nasty. I would hope that Joe Budden doesn't use any of the content that was made against him for legal, like a legal battle with you. Like people like 50 Cent don't play around with stuff like this. But yeah, this is nasty. This is nasty what these girls did to Joe. They came on there, they let Imani down. They let Imani down. Imani clearly said, I shouldn't bring my joints up there. They wild. They're gonna look at me as Freaky E. E's just trying to be a good Potter. Trying to win Potter of the Month. Stuff like that. And this is how y'all doing. Foul. Doing E dirty. Trying to put my man Joe out here. It's one of the best podcasts in the game. Nah, but if it's true, then it's true. And no one is standing for that if he made you feel that way. But the way this is all drawn up, it seems like some type of weird rollout, and I would hope not. And I would have hoped for your co-host Milah to not only stand by you, but she should have actually heard something or seen some type of weird activity from Joe before she got on camera and defended you. Because now she put herself out there with you, which is just bad. So let's see how this all rolls out. Let's see if any blogs pick this up, because this is really nasty, and we'll be back with the files.
My guy Dub too. That's my man though.
Gang gang.
That's my man, Big Dub.